Krakatoa, the explosion heard 3,000 miles away. The sound was so loud it ruptured eardrums 40 miles away and was heard clearly on an island over 3,000 miles from the source, the equivalent of someone in London clearly hearing an explosion in New York. It remains the loudest sound ever scientifically recorded in human history. The resulting waves killed more than 36,000 people, and the ash it threw into the atmosphere changed sunsets around the entire planet for years afterward. In August of 1883, the volcanic island of Krakatoa, situated in the Sunda Strait between the Indonesian islands of Java and Sumatra, had been showing increasing signs of volcanic activity for several months, including minor eruptions and rumbling that local residents and passing ships had noted with growing concern. Though nothing in the historical or geological record available at the time gave any clear indication of the genuinely catastrophic scale of what was actually building toward eruption. On August 26th and into the following day, Krakatoa erupted in a series of increasingly violent explosions, culminating in a final cataclysmic eruption on the morning of August 27th that destroyed roughly 2/3 of the island entirely. The volcanic explosion, powerful enough to be scientifically classified among the most violent eruptions in recorded human history, ejecting an estimated 25 cubic kilometers of volcanic material into the atmosphere and generating an explosion so powerful that barometric pressure sensors around the entire world recorded the resulting atmospheric shockwave as it traveled around the planet multiple times over the following days. A genuinely unprecedented instrumental confirmation of the eruption's global-scale physical impact. The eruption sound itself achieved a specific, remarkable historical distinction, recorded and confirmed through contemporary accounts and measurements as the loudest sound in recorded human history. Clearly audible as far away as the island of Rodrigues in the Indian Ocean, a distance of approximately 3,000 miles from Krakatoa itself, where local residents reported hearing what they believed was distant cannon fire, entirely unaware they were hearing the sound of a volcanic eruption occurring on the opposite side of the Indian Ocean. Closer to the eruption itself, the sound proved genuinely, physically destructive, with documented cases of ruptured eardrums among sailors on ships positioned dozens of miles from the volcano at the time of the final, most violent explosion. The eruption's most devastating human cost came not from the volcanic explosion directly, but from the massive tsunamis the eruption generated, waves reaching heights estimated at over 100 feet in some coastal areas that swept across the coastlines of Java and Sumatra in the eruption's immediate aftermath, destroying hundreds of coastal villages and towns with essentially no warning, given the era's complete absence of any tsunami warning system or scientific understanding of the specific relationship between volcanic eruptions and the massive waves they could generate. The resulting death toll, estimated at more than 36,000 people, overwhelmingly resulted from these tsunamis rather than from the volcanic eruption's direct effects, a genuinely sobering illustration of how a volcanic disaster's most lethal consequences can occur through entirely secondary mechanisms, striking populated coastal areas that, in some cases, weren't even in direct visual line of sight of the eruption itself. Beyond its immediate catastrophic local impact, Krakatoa's eruption produced genuinely significant global atmospheric and climatic effects that persisted for years afterward. The massive quantity of volcanic ash and sulfur dioxide ejected into the upper atmosphere circulated globally over the following months, producing dramatically vivid, unusual sunsets observed and documented across the world. Sunset displays vivid enough that they reportedly influenced contemporary artistic works, including speculation among some art historians that the unusually vivid, dramatic sky depicted in Edvard Munch's famous painting, The Scream, created several years after the eruption, may have been influenced by the artist's own memory of Krakatoa's atmospheric effects, a theory that remains genuinely debated among art historians rather than definitively confirmed, but one that illustrates the eruption's genuinely significant, sustained global atmospheric impact. The eruption also produced a measurable, documented global cooling effect over the following 1 to 2 years, as the volcanic aerosols suspended in the upper atmosphere reflected a portion of incoming solar radiation, contributing to below-average global temperatures and, in some regions, documented agricultural disruption during the affected period, a genuine, scientifically measurable demonstration of how a single sufficiently massive volcanic event can meaningfully influence global climate patterns for an extended period following the initial eruption itself. Krakatoa's 1883 eruption also holds genuine historical significance as one of the first major natural disasters to be reported and documented through the relatively new global telegraph network, allowing news of the disaster to reach international audiences within days rather than the weeks or months earlier disasters had typically required, contributing to the eruption becoming one of the first natural disasters to receive genuinely global, near real-time media coverage and public attention. A development historian studying the event note as a genuinely significant early example of how emerging global communication technology was beginning to transform public awareness of distant catastrophic events during this specific period. In the decades following the 1883 eruption, volcanic activity gradually resumed at the site, eventually producing a new volcanic island, Anak Krakatoa, meaning child of Krakatoa in Indonesian, which emerged from the site of the original volcano beginning in the 1920s and has continued growing and periodically erupting in the decades since, including a significant eruption and partial collapse in 2018 that itself generated another deadly tsunami. A genuinely sobering reminder that the volcanic system responsible for one of history's most catastrophic natural disasters remains actively, ongoingly geologically active well over a century later. What makes Krakatoa's 1883 eruption endure as one of history's most significant natural disasters isn't simply the staggering scale of immediate destruction and loss of life, genuinely catastrophic as that immediate toll remains, but the specific, multi-layered way its effects rippled outward far beyond the immediate disaster zone. A sound that circled the globe, an atmospheric effect that altered sunsets worldwide for years, and a demonstrated capacity for a single geological event to meaningfully influence global climate patterns, a combination of documented, scientifically measurable global-scale effects that few other natural disasters in recorded history have ever matched. If stories like this, where a single explosion's effects reached every corner of the planet, in ways nobody at the time could have anticipated, are exactly what you come here for, subscribe to the grave details, because history holds more stories like this than most people will ever know.